What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bear With Me. And today we're diving in the deep end, literally. My guest is a man who defines intensity, grit, and what it means to master your mind through brutal discipline. Professional strongman, pro wrestler, pro bodybuilder, and the creator of the deep water method, the one and only John Anderson. This one's about pushing past your limits mentally, physically, and spiritually. So lock in and let's go. And as per usual, I'm gonna have to ask y'all to bear with me. John, man, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Thank you for the intro. One thing that most people don't know about me is that I actually became a successful entrepreneur before any of my athletic careers because most people think that you parlay athletics into business. I went the
Yeah,
other way around. I mean, I didn't,
really.
my business didn't actually parlay me into being a top level athlete. I was just successful as an entrepreneur first.
I had no idea. So what was the first like business venture you had?
Well, it's kind of cool. So I'll start off by saying I've been a pro strongman, I've been a pro bodybuilder, pro wrestler.
I've been watching
I'm
those
a
videos, man. You're a monster.
father, father of fucking three. I got a great life, but one of the things that probably my favorite claims to fame, if I've been wrestled in North Korea, bro. That's North, not South,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, one of the few Americans that have been in North Korea. So here's one of my favorite claims to fame, bro. I've never had a job, never collected a paycheck. Most people, they trade their time for money. They get out of college, they'll go get a job, then go
Yeah.
to an interview. I've never been to an interview. Never collected a fucking paycheck.
That's wild,
Yeah.
man. And
Straight
you're
out of
also the
college,
creator of Squeezy Beef.
dude, my first ever business it was a fucking monster idea. It was just 2 decades too early. I was solving my own problem, but there wasn't enough people that had that problem yet. It was meal prep. I was using the fucking containers, the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is like 1995.
Is that
I
where
was
the
just
idea of
two
like
decades,
Squeezy
two
Beef came?
decades. Oh, dude, I've been fucking figuring out ways to pack food around with my whole fucking life.
Yeah.
I've been using Ziploc sacks with chicken breasts and fucking burgers since I was 20,
That's
you
sick.
know?
Yo, I man, since my first prep, probably like 2018, 19, right before COVID, I realized like meal prep is
I didn't know you
actually,
were you were a bodybuilder. I didn't know that, brother. That's
yeah,
fucking cool.
dude, I'm 10 weeks out. No, nine,
Are you
8 weeks out.
really?
8 weeks out. My
Good.
show, Finney said he's gonna
Well,
come. It's in Texas, so you should come through.
nice. You'll love this then, brother.
Yeah.
I got my pro card as a
Yeah.
pro bodybuilder on my second ever contest.
That's man, that's sick. But that just goes to show how you're a monster. Like I've been watching all your videos
It's
and
all here,
everything. I'm
baby. It's
like,
all
it,
fucking
it, it
here.
is. And is that what the deep? So explain a bit more for people who don't know what the deep water method is.
It's kind of confusing. So I used to promote deep water, but it's kind of confusing. Now I use it once I have people in my circle, once they're clients, because people, oh, I don't have a pool. I can't get my barbells wet. This is the kind of shit they say when they hear deep water.
Yeah.
So deep water actually originates. I'm in my pro strongman career, and strongman is all these different disciplines. Well, it was 2004 when they started bringing in a lot of basically clean and press events, right?
Okay.
Which is Olympic lifting,
Hmm.
which is really fucking technical. And so there was a couple of guys that from Russia that were on the Olympic team, and they were just crushing these events. So I clearly saw, fuck, I need some really specific Olympic lifting coaching. One of my buddies was a junior record holder. He actually lived in the training center, of Colorado Springs. So I was like, dude, I'm the Yosh. I need you to help me here. So,
Yeah.
and when I was in my training for Strongman, I had different days I had specialists. I had a powerlifting coach. Yasha Fay is his name, was my Olympic lifting coach. I had specific partners for different events with Strongman. You need somebody to be pushing you every fucking minute of your training.
Yeah.
So Yasha, Olympic lifting is like 1, 2 reps. Strongman is how many times can you do it in 90
Period.
seconds? Yeah.
90
And
seconds.
so I was like, look, dude, I don't need this, single double, 1, 2 reps thing. I said, I need you to coach me when I'm fucking tired, because when I'm tired, my form breaks down. That's where I need to know what to do. So we'd put on very regularly we'd put on 315 and it'd be clean and press. How many times could I fucking do it? It was fucking brutal, dude. I'd get that thing like 14, 15 times. Well, usually by
Wild.
7 or 8, right? I'm starting to suck wind, right? And I'd hear him yell, okay, you're in deep water now. This is where we go to work. So that's where the phrase came from. What he was saying was, okay, you're in it now. This is where we need to start paying attention. So
Yeah.
really what it comes down to, the idea of deep water is just like a strongman event, you are fucking going max effort until the end, right? You have no regard for how the fuck you're going to feel when that time limit is over. Or the deep water comparison is you're swimming out into the deep water as fast as you can, and you have no regard for how you're going to get home. It's full commitment. And
Okay.
that's what it comes down to. And if you live your life with that methodology everywhere, that's what I'm all about, dude. You
I like
commit
that.
to all areas. You commit to your relationships like that. You commit to your parenting like that. You commit to your fucking sleep like that. You commit to everything, business, and it's all fucking mental. One of the things I love to say, if a man trained his mind like he trained his chest, his life would be completely different.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true, man. And it's one of those, yo, that just made me think while you were talking about it is like when you're training and like all the greats, every single person you think about, even like Muhammad Ali, anything like that, is like when you start to feel the burn,
That's when it
that's
matters.
when your work
Yeah. He
starts.
started counting his sit ups once it started to burn.
That's when you start, right? Same
Yeah.
shit okay, so it's not literally training in deep water.
No,
It's just
the
the
idea.
analogy of it. That's wicked. I love that.
Mhm.
So for those who don't know, like take us back. How did a kid from North Carolina end up becoming a pro strongman, pro wrestler in Japan, and basically a
It was
force of
actually
nature?
just I don't know where you caught that, but that was a misprint. There's a lot of fucking misinformation on the internet. It
Okay,
was
I've been
actually
reading a
from
bunch about you.
yeah.
So
I mean,
it
there's
says
so many
Japan.
fucking there's so much weird shit out there. It's anyway. I was actually born. I've been a West Coast guy my whole life. So I
Okay.
was born actually in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, north of Marin County. My mom remarried when I was 8. We went up to just outside Portland, Oregon, and I was there through
Okay.
college. Then I came back into the Bay Area because it's really fucking expensive. And as I call it, as I said, it's fast moving current. If I can come out of college and I can be an entrepreneur here,
Hmm.
I'm going to be I could do it anywhere. And
Okay.
so came out of college, went straight in to start my own businesses. And
Hmm.
like I told you, that first one, meal prep, it failed. It was a little too early. People didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, it got off the ground. There was no way it was going to be what I wanted it to
And
be. So I
I
was
think
like,
fitness wasn't as big, like, because now fitness is like a crazy fucking industry.
well, fitness was big, but not in so much like trainers and shit had just been coming around. And food, nobody really understood how important the food was yet.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but I basically at that point, I've had a little bit of money coming out of college. Fucking broke. I got a car that doesn't have second gear. And all my money that I have, the little bit of money I have, I have to use for gas. So I mean, I'm hungry. I'm like going into grocery stores, walking around eating, not taking. The only thing I'm taking is the food that's in my stomach. But that's how I was feeding myself for a while.
Okay.
You know, I was like, okay, dude, you're hungry. It's time to just start a business where you can number one eat, number two you can keep chasing your dreams. I was training hard. I had this vision of being a big, strong guy. No idea I was going to, but I just knew what I was supposed to do. So I started a painting company. This was my first real victory. I'm 25 at the time, 24. Well, in college, I used to go door to door. I'd knock, hey, I'll paint your house for 1,500 bucks. You'd
Yeah.
be surprised how many. I'm a college kid that they ate it up.
Yeah.
1,500 bucks, pretty much any one-story house I would paint 1,500 bucks. I'd get a buddy of mine to help me paint it. It's 200 bucks and paint. I make 1,000 bucks. We get it done in a week. Dude, we're talking 1992. I'm putting, 4 grand a week in cash in my pocket. I
Um,
was already kind of had the entrepreneurial spirit in there.
yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna fucking go back. I know I can make some money. I need to eat. So
Hmm.
started a painting company completely fucking illegal. No insurance, no license. But I wasn't going to paint myself this time. I was like, I'm hiring people to do it. I can't grow this thing if I'm doing it. I'm not
Yeah.
here to make 4,000 a month.
Work
I'm
on
here
the
to
myself for it.
start this thing, build this thing, and fucking get out of it is what I wanted to do. I was either gonna have, if I was like, it's either got to run itself or I got to sell it. That was my exit strategy. So started off with basically completely illegal the first year. 5.5 years later, I got 25 employees and I sold a motherfucker for $500,000. Pow.
Good
So I'm
work,
in my
dude. That's
20s.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
That's
in
so
those days,
sick.
I mean, in those days, there was no internet yet. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. There was just email was the only thing we
Yeah.
had. It was very, very limited. So it was a different time. Well, right about that, that's my first real big win in terms of business. Well, right about that time, I actually turned pro and strongman. So my life just took this massive fucking wonderful change. All of a sudden, I'm not just lifting weights to be a big strong guy. I'm actually competing. I got sponsors. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Traveling the fucking world. And I got this big, for a kid in his 20s, having 500 grand was a pretty fucking nice little lump. So I started another company. I started a real estate company, started buying and flipping homes. At the time, it was perfect, man. I was crushing that too. I mean, basically, shit, I'm what, not even 30. I basically created you could argue that my real estate company was seven figures too. You know what I mean? But the painting company for sure, because it was just straight revenue. Sometimes anyway, long and short of it, so I'm going to Europe. I'm coming home. I've got all the connections. I got people working on these homes. It was a fucking great time. Real estate dried up, right? That's just the way the shit works.
Yeah.
I was right about the same time where I'm having to have a back surgery in strongman. So ended up I had an agent at the time. It was kind of a bot that was the .com boom. So there's fucking money everywhere. Like I had a sponsor from an energy drink called Havoc. These fuckers never even made it to market. They were paying me, I can't remember, 3 or 4 grand a month just to wear a t-shirt to the gym. I
That's
didn't have fucking product yet, you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So it was pretty cool. It was a great time. But anyway, my agent was like, hey, we'd done, like, I was in a Super Bowl commercial in 2005 or six. I mean, it was a great time. Back surgery, my agent's like, the surgeon's telling me that if you go back on a circuit, you're going to be back having another back surgery real quick. He goes, so if you want to keep doing what you're doing, working with me, making money, we got to put you somewhere else. Okay, where are we going? He said, pro wrestling. I'm like, what? Holy shit. Okay. So we basically, I didn't know anything about pro wrestling. The only thing I knew was when I was a kid, I liked to watch the big guys flex their muscles, but I wasn't paying attention to the
Yeah.
actual what they were doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, he basically we sent me to the school, so I learned how to do it because I could dance. He fully fraudulates a resume, says that I know what I'm doing. No clue. Yeah, I basically start doing these little shitbag matches like at high school gyms because I need to get some footage so we can send it to these bigger companies so they can see me. So my seventh ever goddamn wrestling match was a pay-per-view in Sapporo, Japan.
Wow.
Shitting in my pants, brother. But
Yeah.
again, this is my methodology, bro. I mean, I commit to everything. I committed to build a business. Boom, 5 years later. I committed to my strongman career. Strongman too. I mean, goddamn, I did my first contest, won, got my pro card of my second contest, qualified for the international travel team in my third contest. Boom, I was just fuck. Everything I did was just fast and furious. Well,
I was
same
gonna
thing
say,
in
like you exploded,
same
dude.
thing in fucking wrestling. Well, it's here, dude. You make the decision and you fucking follow through with your shit and you don't
Yeah.
let what people think or say get in your way.
I love that
So
mentality.
I ended up having a great 7 years fucking. I seem to work in sevens. My strongman career was seven. Now I'm in wrestling. It's basically at 42 now. I'm 42. Just like anything else, they end up fucking releasing you because they don't want to invest, big contract money in someone that can start getting hurt. So I come home from Japan. I was traveling all over the world actually, and it was kind of like an extended fireman schedule. I was home for a week, gone for two or three. Home for a week, gone for two or three.
Hmm.
Um, Come home, 42. I'm kind of butt hurt. Like, God damn it, if being domesticated was really fucking weird when 2 weeks before I'm walking out in front of 45, 50,000 people in the Tokyo Dome. That's a big fucking change.
That's sick.
Um, so I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be a bodybuilder. That's kind of the last choice for me at 42. So I did my first contest, won, went to nationals. My second contest won. My third ever fucking bodybuilding contest was my pro debut, and I fucking podiumed at on fifth place. Off I was again, off to the
That's
races again.
yeah, man. Have you
Yeah, and
always been
what
as lean as you are? You just run lean?
I figured out early that but when I was a youngster, we didn't talk about me as a little guy. Part of what helped me develop this whole mindset was I was massive learning disabilities, and so yeah, I got teased, which then drove me to eat for comfort, and it just turned into this fucking downward spiral.
Hmm.
So I had to learn how to work twice as hard just to be par. And I had to develop this massive problem solving skill set because I had to figure out a way to keep up, but not doing it the way they were teaching.
Mm. Yeah,
So that was the biggest blessing of my fucking life, dude, because I learned how to do things my way. And you know what? My way was to simplify shit, cut out the noise, cut out all the things that don't need to be there, and get from point A to point B really fucking fast.
yeah,
Hence my first fucking building of a business and my first victory, built it and sold it,
yeah,
bam, 5 years. Strongman. I'm went from unknown to international inside of a year.
yeah.
Wrestling. I seventh ever wrestling match was a pay-per-view. Bodybuilding, won my pro card in two. It was
Yeah.
here. So had I not been a dumb little fucker in the beginning, we wouldn't be sitting here. Me telling
That's
this fun fucking story.
Yo, I can attest to that because I never finished high school. I ended up getting jobs, helping out the family. You know what it is. Like we all have our story. And I truly believe if I had stuck in school and tried to do, because bro, learning was not for me. Sitting in a class was too tough. I couldn't do it. And I was like, I need
Brother,
to get
you're
out there.
preaching to the choir there,
Yeah.
bro. I know what you're talking
So
about.
everything I've learned, it's been by watching, studying, seeing it, and learning it my way and comprehending it my way. That's why some
Yep.
people are always like, oh, like I'm always like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Or like I'm dumb. And they're like, you're not dumb. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm not school, like smart. I'm smart in the world. I can figure it out, but I just can't learn like you. Like I can't look at
But
a
it's
textbook.
a fucking blessing, dude. You get
It,
it.
best thing that's ever been in my life was
Yeah.
getting out of school and then realizing what real life was and learning
Well,
things my
dude,
way.
had I learned to do it like everybody else, I'd be living my life like everybody else. Thank fucking God.
Problem solving skills.
Never driven a fucking car in traffic to a job. Thank fucking God.
Yeah, that's wild.
Never.
Yeah,
Yeah. Never been to a fucking interview.
that's so
So
cool.
to finish off the timeline, right, brother? So ultimately, once we kind of finish off the timeline, then you'll kind of know my whole story. We can dig in wherever you want to.
Yeah.
Um, so I basically become a pro bodybuilder,
Hmm.
right? And what do? I love business. I've had business success. I'm a pro bodybuilder. Fuck, I'll start a gym. So I opened a gym, fucking had a rocking experience
That's
there.
a dream.
Yeah. It was my dream too, but it wasn't as dreamlike as it was, in your mind,
I
it's
hear
much bigger.
that.
So you might want to reconsider that, bro.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
so, so check this out. This is the fucking cool part about this. I found my fucking life's purpose through that gym.
Hmm.
So, of course, living my dream through lifting weights and having this amazing mindset. But keep in mind, at that point, that whole journey, I felt like I'd found my purpose. But sometimes you don't realize what your purpose is till it lands in your lap. Well, so all along the way, people are like, dude, da da da, can you help me with this? And so I was helping people with their diets and shit because I understood how important the diet was the whole time. So I was just doing it out of the goodness of my heart, just helping people. Once I opened my gym, right, people started calling, saying, "Hey, can you coach me?" Well, my gym was for multitude. I had like athletes there too. Like I helped a couple of people get in the NFL, a couple of kids get in the NFL, still playing. You know.
Cool.
Um, anyway, so people are calling the gym saying, "Hey, can you coach me?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm thinking they live 2 miles away. Fucking people are all over the country. So I quickly realized, whoa, okay, so that's where this whole coaching thing popped up, right? So it just fucking turned itself into a fucking business.
Hmm.
So pretty soon I'm getting so many calls of people asking me to coach them. I told my wife, I said, look, I think you're gonna run the gym, I'm gonna stay in this fucking office and I'm gonna lean on this coaching thing, see what happens. And it turned itself into a fucking seven-figure business, like bam, you know.
Wow.
And the part that was so killer was that I was having better success with these people than the people in my gym. Why? Because when you go to a gym, you think it's about the training. You enter the scenario believing it's about the training. When I'm bringing someone in online, I make it very fucking clear up front. The training is a small piece of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I get to start it on a different like platform of belief, the results were like I'm changing people's lives in like major ways.
Yeah.
Not just helping them lose a few pounds like in my gym. And I'm getting emails from wives saying, I didn't want him to spend the money on this, but now he's got so much energy and he's so happy. The honeydew list is gone. We have amazing sex again.
Yeah.
I mean, like really changing lives. So I was like, whoa, it was giving me a paycheck I'd never had before,
Yeah.
and we all look up to Arnold Schwarzenegger. How do we not? Right.
Yeah.
Well, he said a couple things that really changed. We got a lot of things changed my life, but two things. Early on, I heard him say, break the rules, don't break the laws.
Mm.
Society makes rules, you don't have to follow them. Well, I was kind of breaking them from the jump. I just didn't know it. But to hear him say that made me know it was okay.
Yeah.
Totally. So I pushed deeper into it. Then he actually said this to me in person, which was really cool because I got to meet him and did some charity events with him later, which was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, he said, you're going to come to a point, in your career, and it kind of looks like you're getting there, where giving back is going to be a bigger paycheck than anything else. And that
Mm.
wasn't his exact words, but that's what he said.
Yeah.
And changing lives, making a difference. This is what he was talking about. And that's where I realize now my purpose is to fucking change lives. Yes, I get paid. But funny enough, as you know, as a coach, when you try to help somebody for free, they don't fucking care.
Yeah.
They pay you, they'll follow your lead and you can change their life.
Yeah. It's
So to a certain extent, they're doing both of us a favor by paying.
well, it's like because the money, I find that's what I tell all my friends too when they're like, yo, help me out, this, that. And I'm like, look, I get it. But if I don't charge you, you're not going to have that accountability to yourself that you're like, oh man, I paid for this. And it's not
Well,
about money.
what I do with my buddies, I say, look, if you don't pay me, I'm gonna tell you one time, not twice.
I used to do that. I'd block people from my app. They're like, yo, come on. I'm like, no, you don't send your check-ins. You don't like listen. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm sorry, man. You won't. That's it.
Yeah. Because if
But
they're gonna take it serious, like my college roommate, he's been, just living a not a good life for himself. And I told him, I was like, look, Tommy, whenever you're ready, I'm not helping you till you're ready. You got to come to me and I got to hear you're ready. And this is about 2 years ago. Dude, his fucking life has completely changed. He's making like three times as much money as he was making before. He's got this fucking amazing fucking relationship. He's happy. He's like, dude, he goes, I can't, he goes, I didn't know life could be like this.
mhm.
Right here,
I was
baby.
gonna say
Right fucking
nobody
here.
understands, and it all. I
Dude.
truly feel that the best way to learn that mental fortitude and the best way to get that mentality is start by putting that stress on your body by getting a regiment and getting in the gym. And I find it's not the fact of going to the gym and getting jacked; it's the fundamentals you learn from pushing yourself to go there.
Well, brother, check this out. Been doing this over 40 years,
Hmm.
right? I have this distilled, the mental part of this, into about a 5-minute exercise twice a day.
Okay.
So, granted, what you're saying is very true, not discounting that at all.
Yeah.
But some people, it's very difficult to start with that.
Yeah.
But they can start with fucking sitting down at a desk and doing what I asked them to do for 2 5-minute sessions per day.
Hmm.
And what it does is because see, the thing is I believe in what you're saying. Just don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
But asking somebody to do these things physically that they've never done before, sometimes the barrier of entry is just too large.
Hmm.
But now we change their mental positioning.
Yeah.
It's not too large.
So I don't think I agree with you wholeheartedly. And maybe I said that wrong, as in I don't think anybody should jump into it right away full force. But my point is once you start, like for example, or correct me if I'm wrong. So those 2 5-minute sessions they're doing when they're sitting down each day to get their mental right. is like the precursor to getting them ready to get into a routine to start to make those changes, right? So when I say like,
Well, it's kind of twofold. Yes, but that'll be the second step. The first
okay,
step is to get them to change what they see in their reality.
mm-hmm,
Because what the problem is, most people, what they see in reality are these hurdles that they don't believe they can get over. As soon as we remove those, then when you ask them to do something, they don't see the hurdle, they see the opportunity.
mm-hmm, changing the
That makes
mindset.
sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Once that happens, then all of a sudden, when you ask them to do, whether you ask them to go for a 5 minute walk or go to the gym for 45 minutes as a beginner, they're not him and Han. They see, rather than seeing the challenge or the roadblock, they see the benefit. And once you're
Yeah,
only seeing benefits, it's real easy to go pick up, paycheck, so to speak. But for people that see, there's two types of people in the world, brother. Before they get to me, and there are plenty of people that have developed like this prior to getting to me. I'm just saying that, like when I see people and they're coming to me, there are two types. They're the people that see what they want, and that's a very small percentage. And there's the people that see the problem that stands in front of what they want.
yeah,
Which type of person are they? As soon as I identify which type of person they are, I know what I got to do with them.
yeah,
99% of people see the problem in front of what they want, which means what they want seems so distant. They don't believe that they can cross that problem or that hurdle or that challenge, whatever it is. So once we reframe how they see it, and they don't see the problem, they don't see the hurdle, they just see the benefit. It's really easy. Oh, I want this benefit. I want this benefit versus, God, I'd really like to have that. But
yeah.
see that the whole thing gets cut right there. As soon as there's a but or a yet or tomorrow, that fucking thought process will rule their life.
So what do you think one of the keys is to start changing your mentality?
Well, I mean, first off, we got to find out where the person is. You know what I mean? Like you got to understand what is it that they see in their reality. Because it's crazy. We really do have the choice to be able to see what we want to, but we have to alter this to do it. And so really what it comes down to is find out, what does their reality look like? Do they
Yeah.
do they only see the problems and they can see the benefits out there? Or do they just kind of know that moving that direction is going to get them what they want, but all they can see is the challenges? So I guess really what comes down to is first thing is identifying how deep into that losing mindset or that scarcity mindset they are. And then the next thing would be is to start removing things in there. It's a removal process at first, not an adding thing. You don't want to ask them to do more. You want to ask them to do less. You start removing shit that's in the way, and all of a sudden now some of the clutter, some of the distractions gone. Okay. Now we can start adding in a few things that's going to help you see differently. So it's
Hmm.
it's it's so individualized, brother. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. It
But
is.
I would say anybody on the planet, this is great fucking advice. And I do this for myself every fucking day. What did I do yesterday? What dumb shit did I do yesterday that I don't want to do again today? Because as human beings, we make mistakes and we repeat them so much they seem normal
Yeah.
and we just accept them. But if you find the mistakes that you're making, like let's just say someone's having a hard time losing that last little bit of body fat. Okay. Most people say, oh, I got to do more cardio. No, let's look at what you're doing. What are you doing wrong
Yeah.
that's holding you back? Okay, maybe you're eating a little bit too much at night. Maybe you're that sugar craving keeps fucking you up 2, 3 times a week.
And
Let's
holding on that
remove
stubborn.
let's remove the one thing that is holding you back from moving forward, and you'll propel forward just by the one simple removal.
Yeah. And with that happening, just removing something rather than doing more, it builds their confidence and they're like, wait a minute, I can do this shit. And then
Dude,
yeah, the shift starts to
and
happen.
everybody, and keep in mind, the average man, which
Mhm.
most people fit in that category, they're busy. They're too busy. An elite man's not too busy. Average man is busy. So you ask an average man to do more, he's like, I'm too busy. Okay, perfect. Let's ask you to do less.
Yeah.
And now he's got nothing to say.
Hmm. So somebody
But
that's
let's
been
be
like,
honest, it's the average men that come and want our help.
oh yeah, facts.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time too is like it's like people reach out for help and they don't even realize what they need help with because they're so like again clouded by clutter. And it's like, I
Yep.
don't even know where to start. And it's like, okay, well, let's just start by getting you right. And it's like, let's start by getting your mind right. Let's pause a
Yeah.
second. Let's get your mind right. Right.
Yep.
And for somebody like you, like you've, man, you've been super successful from the jump. You've just done it right. You've had this mentality, right? So you've competed in bodybuilding, strongman, pro wrestling, all three, which are savage sports, which are wicked. I love all three of them. What's the biggest lessons that each one of them taught you about life outside the gym and not in the ring?
So what was the common thread? Like what did I learn through all the if I had
Yeah,
to
like, or
try to
even it
distill
could
it
be a
like the
different lesson. It could be a different lesson from each one, but like something you took into life rather than like, okay, I learned, for example, when you were doing strongman,
yeah, I got
you
you.
said you were
Oh, I
learning like,
got you, brother.
yeah.
I would say the foundation of doing what I did in my life, you could say fucking the whole thing, even from, high level, achievements, just to getting myself back to par as a dumb little son of a bitch. And if people can do this, your fucking life will change. Easy to
Hmm.
say, hard to do. Stop giving a fuck what people think.
Facts, man.
Because as soon as you get that out of the way, your decision making process is based on what you want, not what they want.
Yeah. And I watched a podcast with Modern Wisdom, I think it's what it is, and he had Hermosi on there. And Hermosi
Okay.
was saying a lot of the time what happens is when you worry about people what people think, it and you really start digging into, oh, what are these people going to think about me? What is this going to whatever? When you actually break it all down into the biggest fear that we all have, right? Quote unquote, is death when we're dead. And when you start thinking about like, yo, I could die tomorrow, you really stop having
Yeah.
you stop
Yeah.
having that
Yeah.
fear about what other people are going to think about you because you're like, yo, I could be dead. Because look, in 100 years, they're never going to remember you. You're going to be long gone and forgotten.
Dude, not even a fucking 5 years after you're gone, nobody
Yeah,
remembers you.
yeah. They're like, oh yeah, that guy was around, right? So when you start to realize, like, yo, people have such short-term memories, and you're not the main character in everybody's life, aka they don't give a flying fuck about you.
Yeah.
Everything opens up where you're like, I feel no way. And what that does is the confidence of not knowing something, or the confidence of being able to say, like, I don't care because I'm doing me, it's my existence. People are attracted to that. And then
Fuck
so the
yeah,
next thing
brother.
you know, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. You're like, wait, what? You were just talking shit the other day. And now you hopping on my program? You know what I mean? It's that's definitely something that's, yeah, I can fuck with that.
100%, brother. And part of my whole blessing was that, when I was young, I spent so much time worrying about what other people thought, right?
Mhm.
At some point, you can only worry about something so much before you don't fucking care anymore.
Yeah.
So the universe just lined it up for me. Okay, we're gonna squeeze all this fucking bullshit out of you before it
Hmm.
really matters,
Yeah.
you know? Because I mean, I was told I couldn't. I was told I wasn't good enough. I was told you can't do that. And I was told so much, it just became like death to me. So like perfect example, when I decided I'm gonna be fucking pro bodybuilder, 42.
Hmm.
Even the fucking people around me who knew what I had done, like, dude,
You think you got
you're
it?
not gonna be able to do that at 42. I'm like, hey, but see, I was so good at releasing it. If I try
Watching
to
it.
argue with
Yeah.
him and now it's a fucking conversation, no, I didn't say watch me because now I'm still could get. I say, you know
Mm.
what, you might be right, but I'm gonna try anyway.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you say to that? Absolutely nothing. And my goal was
Okay.
to get
Yeah.
them to shut up.
Yeah. That's so true as well. It's like and another quote, Mike Tyson says it like, if you give them that power to change the way you act by, just like I said, even watch me, and you're like, I don't even say that, which is so true. It hit. Um, because when they can change the way you think or you feel, they're your master at that point, right? When they can change the way you act when they're around, they're your master. And it's like no one should ever be the master of your domain. This is your domain.
Dude.
You don't let nobody in
Yeah.
there and put up some shitty wallpaper with a tube TV. Nah, I got that flat screen and marble counters because I made it. Yeah.
Dude, it's like I always make the joke, somebody could be ugly, and I get judged a lot. I have no issues with that. Somebody, let's just make an extreme example. Somebody walks up to me on the street and says, you're a fucking cocksucker. I look at him and go, you know what? You might be right because it's over.
Yeah.
Anything else that you say, it continues.
Yeah. You're right.
My whole goal is I don't want to engage. I want to acknowledge because then they know that I heard them. If I don't acknowledge, then they'll keep coming because they're trying to get a reaction out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I respond with no reaction and I partially agree, what the fuck are they going to say?
Because
It's over.
you're investing your
It's
time,
over.
your energy into something else. I'm gonna put something that's
Yeah.
gonna benefit me rather than this nonsense. And like people look at you and they see size, intensity, and but realistically, real strength is a lot deeper than that, right? So if somebody's struggling right now, mentally, physically, emotionally, what's the first step you'd tell them to take to start to own their life?
I would say that again, it goes back to the removal process.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of times when someone's struggling, they're doing something, probably daily, that is really fucking holding them back. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big one on vices, and I know that it's not always popular to hear, but if you're fucking smoking dope every day or you're fucking drinking every day, these are things that can really, really hold you back.
Yeah.
Even for myself, I mean, I'll be fucking honest. Jesus Christ, there was times when I was using dope, I was using weed to go to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it wasn't really. It was me being weak
Mm.
because it doesn't really help your sleep. Makes you feel like you're helping you go to sleep, but realistically, what I needed to do was to figure out what I needed to do to go to sleep, not use this fucking thing to cover up why I wasn't going to sleep well.
Coping
And then
mechanism.
what happens is, okay, I'm doing it right before I get into bed. Well, I'll do it before the shower. I'll, have a little fun when I'm in the shower. And, well, I'll do it right after dinner. And the shit just fucking creeps. So if you have something in your life, usually people have many things. I would say the first thing, don't look at trying to do more. Look at some bit of a removal process. That's a great place to start. A lot
Okay.
of times, what happens is by removing a vice, or it doesn't even have to be a vice. Maybe it's a behavior pattern. Maybe maybe you just find yourself talking negatively about other people. I mean, just there's so many things that you could be doing that's putting you in a bad place. Do a little self-analysis, remove some shit, and by that removing, you're going to start propelling forward. But also, what'll happen is you'll end up doing more because you're in a better space, but you're not really trying to do more. You're just focusing on getting the shit out that's holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, most people that have this problem, they're very average people.
Yeah.
Remember, average people are too busy to do more. Don't ask them to do more.
Yeah.
But I love working with the elites. When the elites come, I help tons of elites as well. I mean, they're the ones I can make real progress with because they've got the excuse making and the procrastination out of the way.
Yeah.
So when we actually want to make progress, they're fucking taking the bull by the horns and going.
Yeah.
So you got to identify who is it you're talking to.
Yeah.
So if it's an elite we're talking about, he probably has already done some house cleaning,
Yeah.
and he doesn't know what too busy means. He knows that he's got to find some more time. So I guess the question we'd have to ask is, are we talking to an average man who feels like he's too busy? For sure. We need to do some house cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Remove one bad habit that you do daily, and that will
Yeah.
make at the end of the first week, you'll be, what the fuck? This is
Yeah.
crazy. If you're not that guy where you're always saying I'm too busy to work on my self-improvement, now maybe it's definitely a more specific because we got to figure out what we should add into this person's life that's really going to move the needle forward.
Yeah.
Always going to be something here.
Yeah. And I think the first thing too is also like, I'm a bit hard body with it when it comes to it, but it's like people come to me and they give me all these excuses. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, I'm here to help you no matter how you want, but you need to do one thing here. And that's like before we start anything, you need to either commit or quit. Don't fuck. And I know you can commit. I'm sitting here telling you I believe in you. You may not believe in yourself, but I believe in you because I can see it. But what you need to do to yourself and be honest is commit or quit. Stop fucking the dog. Stop beating around the bush. Commit or quit. And once you fully commit, And
Stop fucking the dog. That's a good one. Oh, Jesus.
you know, but like once you actually chill out and commit and like to one thing,
Yeah,
you're gonna start to
dude.
see get better, and then it's gonna allow you to have that space and that clarity to maybe start a second thing because now you've made this a habit. So let's start the next thing. The little steps, incremental, is gonna build up to like to the to where you want to be and ultimately putting you in the right direction for where you want to go.
100%, bro. One thing that people tend to not like the word habit, right?
Mm,
So, so think of it like this. You already have habits.
yeah,
Question is, do you have more good or bad habits?
yeah,
You already
exactly.
have them. So stop fucking bending bit out shape about the word.
Yeah.
Then what you're really looking at is, okay, I've got these habits because a habit turns into a state of mind, which turns into who you are.
Mm,
So do you have so many fucking bad habits that your identity is, yeah, I'm lazy?
mm,
Lazy people, they've got that identity because they had so many bad habits that it basically put them into that state of mind. And then they just become, this is your identity is everything.
yeah.
Your habits will help you shape your identity. Look at your habits. You can find 10. Guarantee you can find 10 habits in your life. You got more good ones or bad ones? That's the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm definitely going to take a bunch of this out of this. Like, even myself, I'm like, man, I actually learned a lot today just talking to you. But real quick, I know you're pressed for time, so we'll rip through this next part real quick. You're still evolving, you're still pushing as per usual,
Oh,
but what's next for you? Where's the hunger pointing you now?
well, what I'm really driving behind my purpose, which is changing lives. And so
Love it.
in my coaching company, it's really more kind of turned into more of a mentoring scenario. I'm kind of scaling it to the point where I can help as many people as I can. When I say scale, a lot of times people think that that means like, dilution. It's not diluting. It's
No,
basically getting more efficient, right?
I love that.
And so what I've done too is I've created a course where if someone wants to work with, but they can't afford it, right? I've got a course which is totally taught by video
Mm,
and it's a 6 month deal. So that's another way too that I could really start to get out because all of what I teach is my own organically developed methodologies.
yes.
You're not going to, what I teach you, you're not going to have found or heard about somewhere else because I developed this shit making me better.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
learning on your own.
that's the fucking cool part about it. Like when my my dieting practices, people are like, I've never done this before. And I said, well, you should be happy about that because if you've done this before, that means that I really don't know much more than you,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
So true.
And like my mental programming, it's distilled down to a couple of 5 minute sessions per day. So it's really what it is. It's making my methodology so simple and so streamlined. It can have more of a ripple effect
Hmm.
on the average man.
Yeah.
Because again, if you summarize my whole fucking everything, it comes down to that one little saying. If a man trained his brain, his mind, like he trained his chest, his life would be whatever he fucking wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And my goal is to set people free. My goal is to basically show you that you can do whatever the fuck you want. And it's not just to show you in principle, it happens to people.
Hmm.
Like I had a client literally this week in his morning exercise, he was writing some shit down, right? Because there's different stages of what we're doing. I won't go into the whole thing, but he's like, sent me a text. He's like, dude, one of the things that I fucking wrote down happened today. And he's 6 weeks in. I mean, he's fucking manifesting
I
what
love
he
that.
wants to happen. He's like, I can't believe this. He goes, I wrote this down this morning. 1 o'clock, it happened. Like, dude, this is the way the shit works.
Yeah.
You don't see the problems, you see the opportunities, and now you're going to get them.
Yeah. Changing that mindset. I love it, dude. Okay, so before I let you go, I got a couple of quick rapid fire questions for you just to catch you off guard. Ready?
Go,
What's
baby.
your favorite lift of all time?
God, that's a tie between the squat and the power clean.
Okay. So you said, did you wrestle in Japan or was
I
it?
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And well, I
you're
wrestled in North Korea also, but that was just a one mini tour, but that was just a really high
yeah.
spot of the whole thing.
So your craziest memory from Japan.
Oh man. So it's a very different culture, right? And so after a match, basically what you do is you'd go into the booker's office and he'd have a list on the wall where if you were requested to go out with a sponsor, that they would tell you what time you need to be ready and all that kind of stuff. So it's very different over there. They would basically a sponsor would come to the company and say, I want these wrestlers to go out with. So you're going out to dinner and having fun with these people, right? Crazy experiences. Like I remember one time there was two of us and four of them, so six people, and it was like an $11,000 dinner.
Damn.
Like shit that you yeah like. But here's the thing. So somewhere in that evening, what would happen is, see, these guys thought that if we struck them, right, and I say struck because you weren't hitting with a closed fist, but if we hit them, we were basing it. Sometimes it was in the fucking face, sometimes in the chest. They felt that our warrior spirit was going into them.
Oh,
And you're
cool.
not talking about a little fucking slap. I mean, like a lot of times they'd want it in the chest. So you see the chop, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about one dude, one wrestler holding the fucking little guy with his chest wide open so he can't fucking flinch.
Boom.
And me or other massive fucking dudes, like, because we had some giants on the roster, like literally sizing them up and just fucking everything you got. I mean, we're talking like welts to the point where it would even start to bleed a little bit. And they ate this shit up. That's what they
That's
wanted.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So we're talking probably easy 5 to 10 chops per person per wrestler. So these little guys were just getting welted up chests. And every once in a while, they'd want it in the face, which was like, God damn, you know,
That's sick. Okay.
crazy, dude. I mean, the first time I was like, I remember when I was over the first time, I'm looking at one of the other wrestlers, like because I just got on board with this company. I'm looking, I'm like, is this for real? He's like, yeah, and you better hit him hard because he'll be disrespected if you don't hit him hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, okay, fucking, you know.
Okay, what's the hardest moment you almost quit but didn't?
Oh, god damn. You know, there's so many of those because when you're constantly pushing the limits, you get to these points where so what I tell myself, I'm trying to think of an example of, but as I explain what I think to myself, like my mantra, it's dark. It's fucking real dark. Like you can't see any. It's like you're pushing, work, 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 pull your head, nothing's happening, right? And you repeat this process, and pretty soon you lift your head up and you don't know which way's up or down because it's fucking pitch dark,
Hmm.
right? And I remind myself the darker it is, the closer you are to the fucking light, right?
Love
And
that.
so I would say in every one of my fucking journeys, right? Business, creating a new company, you know, becoming any one of the sports that I did, you're pushing so hard to get to that next level so fast that you want to quit because you're putting in. It's like you can put in work at a pace where it's manageable and it's like you can deal with that, or you can put in work deep water method style where
Mm.
you are going so fucking hard, you are committing so much, you think, God damn it, I don't know if I can keep this pace up.
Hmm.
It's like you're out of wind. Can I fucking get up and do this tomorrow? You question, can I do it? And so realistically, I don't really have one scenario. What I do is I have basically, I can basically say that anything great I've done, creating businesses or any of my athletic achievements, I will put the contest where I was turning professional. I had worked so hard because I knew that I only got one shot to turn pro in two contests. I
Hmm.
worked so hard. I honestly questioned if I could make it through the last week because I was so tired. And I just kept reminding myself, dude, the darker it is, the closer you are to the light.
I like that.
But I think that right there is the key. When you push yourself hard enough, where you don't think you can do it again tomorrow, that's the pace that delivers great shit. Now, the flip side of that is you've got to know that you can have that pace and still talk yourself into getting up and doing it again tomorrow. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you see people that run real hard like that, they lose their wind and they lose hope. And
Mm,
if you don't have fucking hope or belief, you got nothing.
mm. Okay. And the last one piece of advice or like a phrase you could get tattooed on everybody's brain. I think I know what it is.
Stop giving a fuck what everybody else thinks.
I like it. I love it, man.
Because
All
that
right.
applies to just about everybody. And
It
that's like
does.
the first step,
Yeah.
because once someone has that, I give them a different phrase. But the
Mhm.
second or the third phrase doesn't work unless the first was in place.
Yeah. Facts. Well, man, you just proved to all of us that there's definitely different levels to this shit. And John, you also just showed us the blueprint to living with no excuses. And pain
Yeah.
is the pathway, it's not the enemy. So a huge thank you to you, John Anderson, for dropping us some game today. And if you're ready to dive in your own deep water, rewatch this, take notes, and most importantly, put it into fucking action. And make sure you follow John on Instagram and keep the deep water, I won't say method, but keep the deep water mentality and stay locked
Yes.
in for the next one. So until next
Yeah.
time, chin up, chest out, and thank y'all for bearing with me. John, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. This is too much fun, man.
Yeah.